The Texas Parks and Wildlife television series is funded in part by a grant from the Wildlife and Sport Fish Restoration Program. Through your purchases of hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels, over $50 million in conservation efforts are funded in Texas each year. Additional funding provided by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. Coming up on Texas Parks and Wildlife.
The hunt test takes elements of duck hunting to see the skills that are necessary to be a successful hunting dog.
It's got a small little shoot area, great for children that are like 12 and under that want to float a river that's not too hectic.
What I find is that most private landowners, if they know they have split foxes, they really like them. They're kind of cute and charismatic.
Texas Parks and Wildlife, a television series for all outdoors. It's Friday afternoon in the Houston Medical Center, and Ruby Rubin is just heading into work.
Good girl.
No, that's not Ruby. That's Ruby. She starts her shift by greeting her coworkers.
How are you doing today?
She puts on her ID badge. And before long, she's out making the rounds.
Hello. This is Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Ruby's 7 years old. She's a Labrador Retriever.
She's here to lift the spirits of patients on a job which might include a game of fetch.
There you go.
It's a treat for patients and work for Ruby, but it's a job she loves.
Good to see you again. Ruby?
This work requires her to be obedient and disciplined, qualities that she learned from her handler, Dorothy Ruman.
I got into dogs because a 2-year-old chocolate Labrador came with the package when I got married. We'd go hunting a lot, and every time I'd shoot a bird, his dog would take my bird to him. And I didn't like that, so I wanted my own dog to bring my own bird to me. And so I purchased my own puppy and came home and trained her and had my first gun dog. The hunting season is so short, I decided I wanted to do competitions with them.
Dorothy trained 2 other competition dogs before adopting a very special black lab named Cole.
Cole was my soulmate. She gave me a platform and she gave me a name in our sport. Ruby was her little sister, and she raised Ruby, and Ruby worshiped her.
It was Cole who first taught Ruby what being a champion is all about.
We have these great dogs. They're wonderful gifts, and we enjoy taking them out and using them for what they're bred to do. Fetch. Good girl, very good. So in your own house you have an obstacle course, heel. Very nice, good. Drop, that's it right there.
Ruby
Long.
trains in the field most weekends.
Ruby.
And practices those skills at home.
That's it, very good. Ruby. So who says you can't train in a subdivision?
Ruby.
It's a talent
Very nice.
that runs in the family.
Dixie.
Ruby's little sister, Dixie, is
Sit.
just learning the basics.
Sit. Sit. Here. Heel. Sit. Sit. Whoops, I dropped one. Leave it. They have to sit for hours, and they can't move. And that icy water when you're duck hunting, that's the beginning and the foundation of all of her training right there.
The dog's training will be pushed to the limits at the Master National Retriever Competition being held this year at the Big Woods on the Trinity, also known as Doc McFarland's place.
What a hunt test does is it takes elements of duck hunting and takes it to a schematized level. We can design technical ponds to see the skills that are necessary to be a successful hunting dog in a sort of a compact and shorter time frame.
Over 800 dogs compete here from all over the nation. These dogs are the elite of the sport, having qualified at other regional hunt tests. But the whole event has a spirit of encouragement and good nature. Because the dogs don't compete against each other, They compete against a standard. It's a pass-fail test in a series of increasing difficulty over 8 days with one goal: always bring back the bird. Now it's Ruby's turn. She watches closely as the marks are set. When she has her eye on the right mark, Dorothy gives her the cue. It's a clean retrieve. Next, they aim for the live flyer. Ruby heads for the spot just where the bird came down, but there's a problem. The bird is not there. Dorothy gives the signal to start searching, boxing the area until Ruby picks up the scent. She still hasn't found the bird. Dorothy is worried.
Where's this silly thing?
Ruby is getting tired and starting to overheat in the afternoon Texas sun. If Ruby returns without a bird, it's all over.
I just boxed that whole area. I just don't know where it is.
This flyer has turned into a runner, and a simple retrieve is now a game of hide and seek.
I can give her one more back and try one more time. It moved. Well,
Ruby finds the flyer, but she's exhausted and overheating. The judges give her a break to cool off.
okay, good.
After a short rest and some water, Ruby goes for it and brings back the last 2 birds clean.
Here.
It's a successful run, but it's taken a physical toll on Ruby.
She got hot. Immediately, the judges said, put this dog in an air-conditioned vehicle and get her off the grounds. And so we came straight back, and she spent the whole afternoon on the bed.
But this isn't the first time Ruby has felt a little down.
For several months, Ruby used to have dreams, and she used to cry. I knew she was mourning for Cole. We lost her to hemangiosarcoma, and it's a cancer that sets on very quickly. We had 10.5 years with her, and that was a blessing. She was a once-in-a-lifetime dog. After Cole died, a big hole was in our heart. We ran the week after with Ruby, and it was so amazing. She turned on. She ran a perfect series. It was like Ruby was running for Cole. She was always the sidekick. Now she was top dog, and she could shine to her fullest, and she did.
After a good night's sleep, Ruby is back in the field to show off what she can do.
Heel, that's it. Close. That's it. Ruby. Ruby.
It's a flawless run that helps her secure yet another Master National title. But all the honors, awards, and trophies are no replacement for a quiet morning with the family and a real duck hunt. There are no judges or spectators here.
Right here. Here. Hunting to us is a fun time to get out with the family, and we just get to put our hair down and just relax. As a trainer, I ask a lot of all of our dogs. This is kind of our reward because she's paid her dues. Let them run, let them do what they're bred to do. There they are. Go. The dogs love it because it's a new experience every time you go out. It feels great to get a few ducks, and that's icing on the cake.
The family snags a few birds for dinner and heads home.
Nice hunt.
Yeah.
Fun.
Fun hunt.
It's just another day on the job for Ruby the retriever.
She had a very fun time.
Folks who come out here to South Llano River State Park, the main draw is probably the river, which is why it gets its namesake. Spring-fed, year-round flow, and then we also have the unique feature of rising up into the Edwards Plateau. We go from about 1,700 feet and then rise up another 400 feet. And throughout that, you have canyons and bluffs that provide some of the best pictures of the hill country you're ever going to see. Fish on.
Or glide.
Yeah, I haven't seen this many in one place before. They're hovering around the feeder, trying to find a hole to put their little beak in.
South Llano River has 4 bird blinds. They all have a water feature.
There's a bunting.
And so you can always count on seeing a lot of bird activity.
There's the jay over there on the feeder again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, tons of birds.
For the kids, there's a number of opportunities where you can hop in the tube, float for 2.5 hours down the South Llano River, and get back out and do it again. Definitely the hidden gem out there. It's got a small little chute area. The current's not too fast. Great for children that are like 12 and under that want to float a river that's not too hectic. I consider it really safe for children, so that's pretty much why we really come here.
You don't often think about the kind of bugs that live in the river. Sweep it against the plants and then dump it into your bucket, okay?
We got a bug! We caught something.
It's neat for the kids to get out and play in the water as well as find out about the different bugs that live in the water. Look at this.
I got a beetle.
Any activity there in nature and they're discovering things. So hold it real flat, there you go. It's priceless though, really, to see them all get excited about everything.
The entire park is great for hiking and biking trails. Anytime you want to hop on your mountain bike, you have over 25 miles of trails. I like the mountain bike back here because there's not a lot of other people back here. 2,100 acres is a lot of land to go play around on a mountain bike. It's nice that as soon as you get back here in the backcountry with your bike, you really don't hear anything but birds in the wind. Y'all ready to eat?
It's not a big park, you know, you're not going to have party crowds out here, and it's a very family-oriented park, you know, and it's quiet too.
We are an international dark sky park.
Those little spots are moons.
If we're having a star party, people can come. We have an interpretive ranger that will show you all the constellations of the sky. We go to our parks, there's that primitive feel. And even though you can be sitting in the campground with 50 other campers, you only walk 100 yards and you're going to be all alone in the woods. And that's what makes it special, because there is space to be had out here.
All right, buddy.
These researchers are transferring a wild animal from box trap to bag.
Keep going.
They can't really see it,
Come on, buddy.
but this critter is always hard to see, especially in Texas.
Down here in the southern part of their range, the densities appear to be pretty low.
What I'm trying to do is get his head in the corner so that it's easier to grab without getting bitten. There we go.
This is one of the smallest species of the wild dog family in North America, a swift fox. And these researchers are happy to find it in good health on this lonesome prairie in the far north Panhandle.
First things first, hair dye. Those teeth look smooth.
This team is studying the status of this elusive little fox to help keep it on the grasslands of the Great Plains.
We are Operation Fox Finder. Okay guys, your maps are ready. My name's Donnie Schwalm. So here's camp. My job description is research associate. I'm gonna go a little bit further and the road bends at the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife at Oregon State University. But try and stay south of the road. We're looking for swift foxes. There you go.
Very cool.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
We're working with Texas Parks and Wildlife to survey for swift foxes in a 9-county area in the Texas Panhandle that falls within the historic distribution of this species. This species, from what we can tell from historic records, was almost gone. We know for sure there's been a big decline historically. About 50% of their historic distribution now no longer has swift foxes, and where they do still exist, the population is kind of patchy, so it's not very continuous. We think that the first and foremost thing that led to these major population declines were historic predator control programs, where they were poisoning kind of indiscriminately for wolves mostly, and really just anything. And unfortunately, those baits, they're not specific, and we ended up with a lot fewer foxes that way. Of course, they like grassland habitat. The more agricultural development there is, especially if it's like irrigated farmland, the fewer swift foxes there will be. And then finally, primarily because there's no more wolves, there's way more coyotes than there used to be. And coyotes are their highest source of mortality, up to 77% of their mortality, so it's a pretty big deal. Habitat in the Texas Panhandle tends to be centered in like the National Grassland System, right along the Oklahoma and New Mexico borders, and then quite a bit of private land too. There's a lot of cattle ranchers that have good habitat. They want that short vegetation. I work with a lot of private landowners. They always want to know if this is going to affect their operation. And the first thing I tell them is that this is not an endangered species. But the second thing is that if they're grazing their pastures, they're doing swift foxes a favor. So the only thing we would ask is, please don't shoot them. What I find is that most private landowners, if they know they have swift foxes, they really like them. They're kind of cute and charismatic. I'd keep it on this side. So, all right. We're doing two different things while we're here. Our primary task is to set cameras, but we're also doing some live trapping because we want to collect a genetic sample to look at the genetic viability of this population.
All right, ready for the pull?
Yeah.
I'm doing a grid study with wildlife cameras.
Stop!
16. What that means is we have multiple wildlife cameras per area rather than just one. That increases the chances of seeing our focal species, the swift fox.
Hey! Got it! We use a paste bait. It's very, very skunky. Nasty.
Pungent.
The way we've got it set up, we've got a scent post 3 meters out from the camera and a bunch of other smelly stuff near that scent post. And they'll smell the post. Sometimes they'll mark the post. They'll roll in the lure and kind of hang out in front of the camera for a little while and tootle off. Mostly we get coyotes and badgers and skunks and porcupines and pronghorn and all kinds of birds and all kinds of raptors and crows and vultures and everything but a fox. We must be close to 200 cameras out and 0 fox. But we were surveying where they haven't been seen since the 80s, so I can't say we're surprised. I'm going to be really disappointed if we're setting cameras all in this area where they should be, and we don't get them. So the daily schedule is pretty much all day. As soon as we're done checking our trap line, not today, then we're setting cameras all day long until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and we start resetting our traps. I don't know. It's not really an exact science. How dry is the brisket, Sean?
Maybe if we can get ourselves a roadkill deer, the rest of the brisket will go in our bellies.
Gosh, the glories of wildlife biology. Only put the rabbit in a spot that you think is just amazing. Let's get some foxes and boxes. We're gonna go back to that really short stuff. So this is a really exciting place to set traps. The vegetation is almost like a golf course. They like it 6 inches or less, and this is probably some of the best stuff that we've found so far, since it's a wet year.
Maybe
everything's so tall.
Here. Okay. There we go.
You got all the GPS and stuff? Okay, we're done. I think we've got a good chance of a fox. Still no fox sign though, which is a bummer. Lots of coyote tracks and some coyote scabs. So we'll see. But put our last 2 right around here. There's a little prairie dog town over there and some trails, so fingers crossed. I'm excited. We got enough sunlight left to get home in time to cook something instead of just eat cold soup.
Even though the swift fox is not federally endangered, it's still a species of concern that we want to help. Their habitat is going away and they don't have anywhere to live. And so I'm hoping that as we talk with the public and help them understand what is happening, they can help with our efforts.
29 degrees this morning. You gotta take your time or you're gonna leave your oil pan somewhere in the middle of a pasture. Nobody came to say hello. So this one's empty. Shoot! There's another one down there. You know, they talk about this like a flyover land, and I always am like, oh, that's because you haven't spent any time in it. You don't listen to the meadowlark chorus in the morning, so I think they're missing out. Grasslands are so underappreciated because there's a lot of really unique species here that occur here and nowhere else. We've lost a lot of it, but there's a lot of opportunity left to like conserve these unusual species that only occur here. Ooh, it does look closed.
It does look closed.
It's closed. Okay, the moment of truth. Please don't be a skunk. This one has me nervous. It's a fox. It's a fox. And he tore part of the plastic off the trap so I could see him. All right, we got one. Let's text the crew.
To be able to see one in hand is really rewarding. You're really surprised at how small they are.
2.3 kilograms. Female.
It's like the fox's version of alien abduction. Probed and prodded and measured 2 inches. To keep the eyes covered, they stay kind of calm, and there's no evidence it affects them in the long term. I want to help fix things. I want to work with the landscape, I want to work with the landowners to see if we can like put some things to rights where we can, and swift foxes provide that opportunity to like put something back on the landscape and restore this species, and they're a neat little animal. All right. They're tough little guys, and I can appreciate that. That's the best part. Turn them loose, and they always put on a nice little show. Away I go, back to life. Atta girl. Trot off, and they stop, and they look at you, and have a little bathroom break, and go on their way. All right. Good luck, honey.
This project was funded in part by a grant from the Wildlife Restoration Program.
This series is funded in part by a grant from the Wildlife and Sport Fish Restoration Program. Through your purchases of hunting and fishing equipment and motorboat fuels, over $50 million in conservation efforts are funded in Texas each year. Additional funding provided by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.